There's something immediately relaxing about stroking one's beard.
I do it all the time, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just really has a nice calming effect.
I know, it makes you think
Clears
better.
your mind.
Yeah.
Keeps your hands busy. It's better than smoking. Although, you know who's on a smoking hot streak right now? These teams. Because they haven't lost yet. We're to the semifinals.
Yeah.
It's not Gas and Ion. I've just lied to. Blame admins on that one.
Oh, you.
I know. But Ape and Boom. Ape has been a team that has been requested multiple times, apparently, in chat. So we are finally bringing an Ape game to you guys. And we don't actually know how this is even going to finish. This is game 1 of a best-of-3 that is still going on. We haven't even looked at the ending. We don't know who's going to win.
So it's a surprise for everybody.
It is. I like surprises.
Now I'm anxious.
Yes.
Keep
Back to the beard.
Yes.
Game 1.
Picks.
Take a quick look.
On Team Ape, we have Clunk, the Scoop of Justice, and Admiral Swiggins. On Team Boom, we're rocking a Frogga G, Clunk, and the Scoop of Justice. This first match being played on Ribbit 4. Wow. Okay, so these
A lot of ribbits today, actually.
A lot of ribbit. Well, people like the ribbit. The ribbit's a good place to be. It's a very strong map in terms of tactical play and movement and intensity. Like if you get it, like if you're playing this map properly, there's movement everywhere because of that middle bounce pad. And that's what we seem to be banking on right now. Both teams sporting very aggressive lineups that have a person that dashes in the middle of the fray and does a lot of damage. Now, the difference is that Frog gets to a late game, which is far more frightening than a Swiggins most of the time.
I've seen some pretty interesting Swiggins in my time, but as a general, yeah, the Frog right out the bat can be very dangerous. Both these teams have a heck of a lot of crowd control.
They got a lot of crowd control, and they do have a lot of burst. If there's a single snare, somebody is going to die. At least
Very well,
plan.
yeah. You could easily chain combo for 100-0 and get yourself some kills. So, guys, Ribbit 4, Game 1, semifinals of Qualifier number 3. Let's see what Ape and Boom can do here on Ribbit 4.
All right, Boomy Apes.
Boomy
Apey
Apes,
Booms.
You ever seen Avatar?
Yes.
Boomy?
Boomy's awesome.
He was, yeah.
That's so cool.
So, Boom the Dynamite, Boomy the cartoon character. There's a lot of things you can do with the Boom team.
But before we get to Boom, we're going to talk about Ape. On the Swiggins, you've got Deities. On the Scoop, you've got Majiv. And finally, on the Clunk, you've got Oz.
We'll see if he's a wizard.
Just Oz. It's a really short name. Paolo on the Scoop. As we've seen before, on the Clunk, you've got Kaio. And then finally, you got Blah playing your Frog. So, Kaio playing his big, tanky, beefy characters that he likes to play. Blah playing his Frog, as per his usual. And you've got Paolo doing his thing. It's Coco or Scoop every time.
I was going to say, have we seen Paulo not on Scoop? Because I don't think we've seen Blah off of Frog.
I don't think so either. And the Explodes are coming out a slightly more beneficial trade in favor of the blue team as they now aim to control a little bit of the jungle, pick up some extra farm, and cement a little bit, a slight edge, as it were. So Boom already looking strong here. Majiv putting out a little bit of damage as well. But so far, no kills yet. 1 minute into the game. Our basic abilities being picked up by everybody. Yeah, new record. Basic abilities being picked up by everybody, including a couple of extras. Piggy banks on both the Frog and the Clunk on the blue team. Boots being picked up to make the piggy bank worth it. On the red team, you've got a Swiggins who's picked up piggy bank and went straight into grapple damage on top of his base ability. So Deities looking to make that damage happen right out of the gate.
We've been actually seeing a lot of grapple damage early on here for the Swigs. And, hey, if you're going to actually hit with that anchor, you might as well make it hit hard because the follow-up burst is just going to be absolutely phenomenal if you have that kind of follow-up. So if you get the grapple and you do the damage, you reduce the hit points, you could actually lead into some interesting kills, especially with Clunks on the field, especially with Scoops there to prolong stuns.
Yeah, and in this case in particular, what's worth keeping in mind with Swiggins is that his guaranteed damage comes out of his grapple. His drop doesn't do any damage until you put the teaspoon on it, and the teaspoon costs 30 more solar per upgrade than the blue heart metal does. At the very least, I think it might be 165 for the blue heart metal, but the point is, it's guaranteed damage, practically, and it's cheaper. So you do want to go for the blue heart metal first. New upgrade being picked up. Scoop picking up Twisted Lance right out of the gate. So Paolo going for that snare is going to be going into his hammer build first. Not likely to go into bindings, which means that he's going to be working as an initiator role. Oz patiently waiting he's not going to end up getting his patience repaid in kind, unfortunately.
Patience doesn't pay off, yeah.
Well.
I mean, he was waiting. It was a good idea. The ambushes are going to be very hit or miss, but hammers into bushes almost always going to be hitting the bigger hitbox Oz. But right now, as I said, 0-0, 3 minutes in. Both teams just really feeling each other out, doing a lot of farming back and forth. And overall, it's just one team has the middle, and now the other, and Oz is going to be the first blood.
Blah picking it up, and now Boom maybe in a bit of a sticky situation. Kaio trying to run away as fast as he can, but he picks up a lot of HP between one well-placed rocket and a well-placed bite, so he's going to end up getting out of there just fine. And you got your blue team now picking up the first kill, like you mentioned before. That was a really good kill to get to because it was on Oz. The Clunk has no piggy bank, he's got no boost, he was relying on getting farm off of kills, off of creeps, and he just lost time to do both of those.
Kaio's not actually going to get a net hit point out of that explode, but the explode did put up enough pressure that it kind of chased off APE, and they do control more or less the jungle at this point. I think all 4 creeps in this instance just went to Kaio, and he's back in his ship-shape form. Navich losing out a little bit of his hit points, does get it back there with that bindings. Oz and Deities there in the bottom have to deal with the frog, but they're dealing with it well.
Yeah, no, they've been doing an excellent job. Frog is one of those characters that you really don't like playing against the Swiggins with. He's very vulnerable to being stuck in one place, and Anchor Drop is one of the very few things that stops Frog from doing practically anything. Without like that anchor, if it's got you in place, Frog is going to have a very, very bad day. However, Frog, in this case, not having a very bad day. He's sitting at 400 plus solar right now. He hasn't died yet. He has picked up that first blood, and the blue team overall still doing fairly well for themselves. They're ahead on solar, they're ahead in the kill. As far as turret damage goes, they are roughly equal, if not slightly better off. It's looking good for them.
The big difference is who that first blood landed on. As you said, Oz doesn't really have a lot of natural born advantages. Oh, he will actually hit Paulo out of that one, following up on that anchor, but Kaio is actually right there ready to go for that return. So low hit points abound, but no kills. And again, to finish the thought, it is the Clunk on Oz that is the lowest solar because, again, he got that kill, he got killed, lost out the solar, doesn't have the piggy bank. I mean, there's no solar tree in this game anymore, and he's not really farming very well whatsoever.
And then he kills the solar boss on his own. Still, that should help his team a bit.
That was 20 solar. I mean, the numbers are still 500s compared to almost 8.
True. But he did move forward a little bit. He's got more money now. He's about halfway to his first thermonuclear upgrade if he decides to go for that. The blue scoop now picking up the triple scoop banner. So I was wrong. He is going for bindings, which means his team is going for lots of damage, which I think might be a wise idea considering the makeup that they're up against. So that's a fine way to go about things. And Frog, Blah, picking up Hammer Pants and Ninja Worms right as soon as he went home to shop for the first time. So he's gotten a monstrous amount of burst already for this stage of the game, 6 minutes in. I would be very, very worried if I was the red team. On the other hand, though, they do have grapple. They do have a lot of damage of their own, and they're going to go ahead and make good use of it there, picking up a kill onto Blah. Paulo getting killed as well by Oz. So that's going to be a 2-for-0 exchange in favor of Team APE. So APE looking really good right now. That was excellent turnaround right there, and that was a lot of solar that they desperately needed. Clunk now sitting at 700. And his two buddies sitting at least 800 and almost 900 on the Swiggins there. So they've pretty much equalized the solar in between the two teams. They're
less
on
than
par.
100 between them.
Yeah, they are on par with one another, which is excellent for the red team, especially because they have only got one piggy bank.
Now, red was really low at the end of that fight, and Kaio was actually still on the board, but had his self-destruct like this one had actually hit, it would have been a very different story. It would have been at least a 2-for-2 going back and forth. And Kaio, he just could not grab that last auto attack, and even at the end of it all, last time Deities here was actually able to kite out successfully. This time, not so much, as Paulo did take home that kill. So now with that extra little bit of pressure, can we start seeing a little bit of more tower damage coming the way of him? And
we will. Kaio doing a good job of using his left click. Clunk is an unsung hero when it comes to pushing, just because of his safety while he's doing. He can sit very far back and deal a lot of damage to turrets while he's pushing. So I find that Clunk is really good at turret pushing, just baseline, and if he picks up good missile upgrades, he can push really hard as well, which is great for his team. But the one thing that he definitely wants to do is be able to do more damage in these fights, and that's going to be a little bit difficult. But if they can, like if either Clunk lands damage, it's going to be good for the team. But in particular for the blue team, because if they got the Clunk meat shielding and doing all this great stuff, it's gonna that's probably a lot harder to do than it is for Oz. Swiggins is going to keep people in place. There's no one like that on the blue team, really.
That hammer from above just goes straight through all the platforms. You know, it does land out a little bit of poke damage here and there, but overall nothing really significant. How many solar bosses have we actually taken here for Boom? Because that can count at least 2 for APE.
I am not sure. I don't think I've seen that dot die even once yet.
Yeah, me neither. So not only did we get, you know, a big surge of confidence, tie up the kills in that last fight, now we're starting to farm out bigger objectives like, you know, the mid, like the solar boss, and that's actually a worrisome position. If APE continues to apply that solar game over and over, that's going to start outclassing Boom no matter what they do.
Absolutely. Kaio extremely low. He's going to have to head home after taking a lot of damage from a combination of Swiggins and everything else. And yeah, right now the red team is looking like they're winning these fights. They're equal, though, in terms of solar and everything else to the blue team. Like right now, they are very evenly matched. This is still any person's game 9 minutes into this, and there's
still
no edge given.
Advantage when it comes to solar, but
very
it's not
slight.
much.
Yeah, it's very slight, and they all 3 of them have piggy bank. Only one member of the red team has piggy bank, and it's Swiggins.
That's the scary part.
Yeah, no, you're already losing your piggy banking advantage, and that's definitely something to be worried about.
A lot of hammers being thrown between these two up here. So we're not really looking for any kind of big team fights. It looks like we're just kind of biding time at this point. We're farming out the creeps, we're killing out the jungle, we're killing out the solar bosses, and we're not looking for those big team opportunities. We're not looking for that early damage, although, hey, if Deities is going to present one, hey, why not take it? Does actually get low on the hit points, but not going to be quite the kill. So I'm suspecting we're going to see some shopping sprees, and then we're probably going to see a bit more aggression between the two teams once they powered up a little bit.
Once they power up a bit, Kaio picking up his first rank in Thermonuclear Cleaner and 2 ranks in Snare Bite, so he's doing things. Kaio looking for an explode. He's not going to find it, although the scoop took a lot of damage from somewhere. It did.
That's the exploder you're looking for.
That's the exploder we're looking for. So Oz is going to be able to pick that up, and to top that off, he spent 400 solar on missiles damage, and now he's picking up his other missiles upgrades. That he's got double rage missiles as often as possible. So that will be very, very powerful zoning tool against Clunk, against Scoop, against Frog. I'm not sure if that was maybe the best idea, but we'll see how it turns out. I'm anxious to see how it goes. Oz also using it to pick off solar bosses very easily, and that's definitely an opportune use for it. Swiggins picked up Blue Heart Medal and the Sextant, but I have no idea. I forget what the Sextant does off the top of my head, to be perfectly honest. I think it extends the range 2 over. Increases the damage.
That's Blue Heart Medal.
Yeah, there we go. So it makes Anchor do damage in an area. That's pretty cool.
Octant, not Sextant.
Whatever. They look
it's
the
just
same.
thesaurus today.
Yeah, fine. Whatever.
So again, another solar boss down into the pockets of APE. Nobody's been touching the Kaio one, you know, the Boom one. And solar, after you negate, you know, again, those piggy banks and solar bosses and these kills, because we now have taken the kill lead for APE, APE is actually in control of this match.
So far, yeah. And the turret damage shows that as well. Their turrets are still relatively healthy. Kaio taking a lot of damage off of his own explode and off of the opposing explode. Now Oz trying to run away as fast as he can. He will succeed in doing so, but he's going to pick up a health pack, so he should be able to get right back into this fight. Swiggins takes a lot of damage from Blah. Right now, it's an exchange that was slightly in favor of the blue team. The red team's going to have to go home and heal and take it easy for a minute, I think.
No, it's just Deities. Everyone else is already back on the field, so to speak. Bindings, bites.
Yeah, that's true.
Health packs.
Yep.
They're very sturdy teams. Like what we saw with Ion was like this big burst potential, but they were all very squishy. This round, so much survivability. That's maybe I misspoke a little bit there for Paolo.
Yeah, Paolo goes down, but so does the Swiggins, and that had a lot to do with a well-placed explode coming out of Kaio. So well played by the blue team on that front. Oz still alive, though. He ended up taking a lot of damage, and now he's right back up to full, and he's ready to go sit here and just push away, zone the best that he can, and he can do that now that he's got access to both of his missile upgrades that he absolutely needs. We'll see what his third missile upgrade is going to be, but going for that zoning, I think, was a smart decision in this case. It turned out to be a really good idea, just because it allows him to deal more damage than just an explode would. So he's not rooted or chained and can't do anything. If he gets rooted or chained, okay, that's bad, but he can deal with it. He can left click it. He can left click anybody, and it's a lot of burst damage. Clunk does a lot of damage very quickly with his left click.
Yeah, and we have seen left click builds before. We always talk about Clunk in terms of like he's only good for exploding. I mean, 1,000 damage is 1,000 damage, sure, but a lot of the time we're actually seeing more and more left clicks, especially today in a lot of the games here with the Clunk. And the left clicks are, well, as you said, I mean, there's a lot of virtues to them.
Yeah, they can push really hard. Blah took 2 left clicks to the face and an anchor, and that's look at his HP. It's super low. Explode coming out. It's going to hit Kaio. Kaio's going to end up going down, and now Paolo by himself as Blah is going to have to head back home. This top turret likely to end up going down as or maybe not. Nope, the droid wing is cleaned out. Paolo happy to just sit here, bindings, and do what he can to just harass people out of the lane. In the meantime, though, Oz downstairs doing what he can. Yeah, exactly. And that's going to be the end of the bottom one if they decide to go for it, which looks like they will end up doing so. Paolo almost dying to that hammer. And that'll be the first turret of the game in favor of the red team, Team APE, doing work against Team Boom here.
It was so very close to actually seeing a team wipe right there as well. I mean, had the Froggy actually not anticipated the explode coming in at the end there, would have died. Had Paolo not had a sliver more health, would have died. Deities comes back alive, immediately dies. So that's actually a nice pickup there from Boom. They're able to capitalize on that one kill, but it has been APE, continually incrementing their kills. They've taken out that tower. They've taken multiple solar bosses. So like the global gold, so to speak, the solar that is granted to teammates based upon objectives is much higher overall for APE. And that's why you're seeing them very competitive with their solar. In fact, I'd actually say they've taken the lead now.
Yeah, that they have. And APE finishing off his left click build, going for the attack speed and missile speed on his left click, so that's going to be difficult to dodge. It's going to really hurt. It's going to hurt very quickly. Like it's a good build, and it's going to work out really, really well for them. Frog now is starting to pick up tweeters and has shield on his NATO for the blue team, and also on the blue team we've got damage and snare duration being picked up on the hammer. So the hammer going for full quality and no spammy. Oh, out goes Oz. Blah managed to get the kill, but it's going to send Paolo home. And the red team now going to take advantage of that and take out this top turret. So that's now 2 turrets.
I was going to say a little bit here about, so with that turret down, that's more money in the pockets here of APE. Kaio actually makes a huge mistake, and Blah it takes out Deity. So again, we kind of do trade out, so to speak. But remember how we said, that first blood on top of the Clunk was really good because he didn't have a lot of, natural ways to gain solar, and he was like really, really low, and that was the big difference. Look at him now. Now he's leading the charge.
He is leading the charge.
Well, that's a lie, actually. The Frog
not by a very
but he's
large
leading his team.
Yeah.
Compared to being last in the game to leading his team and being second overall, it's a heck of an improvement.
Yeah. No, that's an excellent improvement overall. And I think that it's really been helping out his team in a big way, too. His Swiggins is actually picked up a bunch of left click, but he's also now picked up Baby Curry Mammoth. That one's interesting. But it's a really good move, all things considered, because there's a lot of snare and stun and all that, great stuff on the blue team. Being able to reduce that by a decent amount for the cheap cost of only 220 solar, probably a good idea. It allows the Swiggins a lot more mobility in fights and a lot more ability to just get aggressive and then get out again.
Well, speaking of aggression and getting out, looks like Deities is actually going to live after that altercation. Oz takes the hammer, but he's going to be okay. Oh, the explode so close. Paolo is actually not going to be on the field currently. And KO, he was looking for that explode at the end of it all. Didn't quite get it. I'm actually a little surprised we haven't seen really more come out of Blah. And, I say that, but if you look at his stats, he's leading in terms of the solar. He's 4-2. And he probably has a heck of an amount of creep kills under his belt. But he just doesn't, feel like previous matches. He doesn't feel like that big deal,
And that has a lot to do with the size of the characters he's up against. It's like Team Tank on the left side over here. And they are very brutal. Like, if he gets caught out, That's a Swiggins into terror. Like, it's going to really hurt. Oz looking to get some left clicks in. He's very low, but he's going to end up surviving and walking out of there. Kaio, same deal, but he doesn't have access to a jungle. Ape's Oz is now going to be able to pick up all of this HP and then maybe a solar boss to back it up, cementing another chunk of solar for his team. Right now, things are looking really, really good for the red team, just out of the amount of solar that they've got and how much pressure they're able to apply in these fights. But that might have some, like you mentioned, it might have something to do with Blah, because Blah's just, I don't know, he just doesn't feel like he's doing a lot of damage. Oh, Deity's taking a ton of damage, but in comes the Explode and a bunch of left click. That's going to be a 1-for-1 trade so far, but we'll see what ends up happening from there. Paolo taking a bunch of damage. Ape's Oz going to eat a dash as well as the scoop now. Blah going to just run away. That's going to be a 1-for-1 exchange. Tied up 7-7 right now across the board. That's a good kill. That was a pretty good kill, but it was on a Swiggins. He's already died a couple of times. It's not going to net you any extra solar. So
7-7 in an 18-minute match.
Yeah.
So a little bit slower than what we're normally used to here. And Paolo actually trades out there for Mavich, and that's actually now the clunk for the Swiggins and then the scoop for the scoop.
Yep.
8 for 8. It's blow for blow, more or less, but still the solar advantage as well as the map pressure is still being retained by Ape, even with these trades. Oz is now going to go do solar boss again. He's actually going to, just absolutely decimate it. Yeah, that was very impressive.
Left clicks, man.
Left clicks, the Explode, and the Devour, or well, the Snare Bite.
And another couple of differences is between Oz and Kaio. Look, Kaio went for full Snare Bite into Explode, and so far it's not been working out super well for him. Oz went for left click to help zone that out. So far it's been working out nicely.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh, what a mess! But that's going to end up being a double kill.
Kaio didn't die.
Yeah, that's going to end up being a double kill in favor of the blue team. Team Boom getting off the 1,000 damage Explode on 2 people. That is 2,000 damage in a fight. That is a lot of damage.
The virtues of left click can be extolled, but so can the virtues of 1,000 damage Explode.
Yeah, when it lands good. And then that's what ended up being the deciding factor there, is that was a snare into an Explode. And as much damage as left click can do over a long period of time, Explode is going to get the job done a lot quicker. So the differences in builds are going to really change how these team fights work out. So right there, if the Explode lands out of Kaio, that's going to be a really good job for the blue team. If the red team manages to dodge the Explode, then it's going to be a very different team fight. That goes without, you'd think that goes without saying, but that's just how the difference in builds works. And it's going to continue to, and the reason why this difference is aggravated in this case is because of Paolo's build. He's got snare and damage, no cooldown on his hammer. So he's going for a quality snare, and if it lands correctly, it is a much better team fight ability than the snare on the red team, which is going for cooldown and damage instead, which is, good for spamming, but in a team fight, it's not going to work as well for like that 1 second that you needed to.
So after that fight, we took the first turret here for Boom. They actually do have a turret kill now on the board. And after that double, they actually took back the solar lead, almost to the tune of 300 solar, which is more or less 1 to 2 items, depending on how you look at it. A little bit of scuffle there in the mid. Deities, it looks like he's going to be okay. Same here with Mavich, but they got their licks in there as well. Kaio's not looking so hot, and Paolo's going home. But something I will say about this left-click build that you keep talking about, Oz has been very relentless. In any time that this creep wave is pushed up, he comes down, visits, and gets off a ton of damage on these buildings.
Yeah, and that's the thing about left-click Clunk, is that he does do a lot of damage to turrets. Oh, here comes some damage. In comes the snare. In comes the bindings. In comes the NATO, and down he goes. Now Deity's in a bad spot. He gets snare bit and chopped to pieces. On the back end, though, Mavich managing to pick up the hammer onto the Clunk. So it's a 2-for-1 exchange right now, and Mavich needs to be really careful. If he gets caught out here, that's going to be a 3-man wipe, and that will cost them the tower and maybe the game at the rate this is going. In comes the bindings. Damage off of Blah. Now Blah looking to do a little bit of extra harassment. Mavich eating a hammer, and Mavich deciding to stick around. He's going to do some damage to Paolo, and yeah, it seems to be about it. Paolo's going to go home. Or not.
He's thinking of it. With jungle creep spawning, you could make a good case for not leaving, and if you don't get hit, I mean, those hammers don't really hurt.
Yeah? Well, that goes without saying.
You can dodge a hammer.
Yeah, exactly. And it's important to be able to dodge hammers, particularly in this case.
Still.
Guys, not taking the damage is one thing, not taking the snare is another one. And the red team really needs to pick up on that lesson, particularly against the Kaio Explode.
So the last 2 team fights have actually gone in favor of Boom. So we've seen Boom advantage into Ape advantage, now back into Boom advantage. These guys are really well matched.
They absolutely are. It's 22 minutes into this game. We're sitting at 9 and 12 in favor of Boom in terms of kills. Towers still in favor of Ape. They're doing a really good job of pushing and putting a lot of pressure up on these turrets. So, yeah, things still working out nicely for them. Blah's going to go ahead and get away from Oz as quickly as he can. And, yep, teams are kind of resetting. The pressure's being remounted onto the blue team slowly but surely as they left-click their way to the towers.
You know, I'm still not entirely too sure who's actually going to take this game.
No, it's any man's game at this point. I mean, you got both hammers are dealing max damage, although one's got slightly more snare and the other one comes out more often. Blah managing to pick up that kill, though, and out comes the bindings. The binding's not going to do a lot of damage, so no kill's going to come out there. But blue team going to go ahead and pick up a kill for nothing there, which is really good for them. Now, we mentioned before that between the Swiggins and the Frog, which are the 2 big differences here, the Frog has a better late game. I still think that's the case. And I think that that's what's showing right now is that although the Swiggins has a lot of damage and he can do a lot, especially to characters like Scoob or Clunk who can't dodge those ink shots, the burst and the damage the Frog puts out is just overwhelmingly huge. He's got hammer pants, he's got almost max damage dash, he's got 1 rank in boombox and both ranks in tweeters. He's going for as much damage as physically possible against these big, beefy characters who can't dodge worth a damn. That's going to be really painful late game. And the longer this game goes on, that's not going to be good for them.
Big and beefy in small corridors.
Yeah. Oh, in comes the explode. It's going to end up actually hitting Paolo, but only for 500.
Yeah, it's still a basic explode. It's not exactly something to walk right home about. Not like that kill. That kill on top of Oz was magnificent. But now Paolo, big danger of actually dropping as well. But gravity was on his side. He's actually going to be able to dodge out that inker from the Swiggins. So he refuses the gift of the sea and goes on home. And 14-9, like we were talking 7-7, 8-8, 14-9 since we last talked about, you know, the quantity of the kills. Overall, Boom, as I said, they might have actually been a bit shaky there, but they're starting out into an extremely well-oiled machine for this late game.
Yep, and I think it has, again, a lot to do with the amount of burst that they're able to put out, and also the lack of damage that's being put out by Team Ape. Like, they're doing a decent amount now, but they really need their Clunk to start pulling a bit more weight. He's now picked, that Clunk, by the way, has picked up 2 ranks of Baby Curry Mammoth. So, has Pills, Boots, and Curry Mammoth to work with. He's got less of a, like, the snare isn't as strong as it used to be. But that's it. That's really all they've got going for them is that the Baby Curry Mammoth stops the snare from being as long. So I'm not sure how much of a big difference it's going to make. It will make a difference against the Scoop, but considering that they only need a split second of time to get the kills that they need, yeah.
Well, it's not going to be a kill there on top of Paolo, but it will actually be a kill on top of Blah. And again, like, I'm not really getting that grandiose sense from the Frog, who's now dead and fallen into the sky, but that being said, he's still 6-3. He still has 6 of these 14 kills, which is mind-boggling to me because, like, I'm just not seeing the big acrobatics, the grandiose nature. It's really more, for me right now, all about Kaio.
Yeah, and Kaio's about to die here. Out comes the explode. Paolo going to go ahead and get killed due to left clicks and explode.
Oh,
so that's going to be a
dangerous.
2 for nothing. Yeah, now it's just up to the Frog to defend, and he's coming down right now, but with Deities having access to all of his abilities, this might end up badly.
Is that game?
That might be game of the story, but in comes the NATO. The NATO is going to go ahead and take out one of them. Ape taking a lot of damage as well, but Blah going to take even more, and he's going to end up dying. And so that's going to be your game there. Like, despite being in behind there, that one team fight coming out on top of them, because you had Oz who survived the explode, who managed to outdo Kaio in terms of like the team fight ability. By the end of it, he just out-survived the damage that the blue team could do, and blue team overcommitted and died for it.
This is twice now that we've seen a game where overwhelming solar, overwhelming map presence, some big aspect that went for one team, and then a bad team fight at the end of it, and the other wins.
Yeah, but in this case, it wasn't like overwhelming yet. Most of the points
wasn't
of the
as
game, even
overwhelming.
oh no, but even look at the end. We've got 2400 solar, 2700 solar, and 2800 solar on the red team, and on the blue team we got 27, 23, 27. Like it's pretty close. They're just behind on kills for a good chunk of the game, in particular on the Swiggins, who went 1 and 8. But by the end of it, it ended up
200 solar difference.
yeah, that's all that there was, despite the fact that they were kills. And I think that had a lot to do with the solar bosses that they killed at the beginning, right?
Yep.
The tower kills that they ended up picking up, that helped them get the solar advantage that they needed to continue forward.
Yep.
And just consistent play. By the end of it, the burst damage that was being put out by Kaio and the rest of the blue team was dwarfed by the survivability and just the ability to move around that the red team had. I mean, between NATO not working all the time that you'd want it to, or Explode not landing all the time, or just something not working the way that you needed it to, if any one of those abilities or knots didn't perform perfectly, the red team would be able to punish it because they had consistent damage and application between spammy hammers and left clicks. So
Spammy hammers.
Spammy hammers.
It's not entirely untrue. I mean, we've seen a lot of spammy hammer builds out today.
Yeah, spammy hammers.
The hammer shotgun, or the hammer sniper with the damage hammers. Damage, range, and cooldown.
Which is really funny, considering that hammer, like, when you first get it, does, like, no damage. It's like a squeaky hammer. It's like, every time that you hit somebody with it. But by the end of it, you're tossing it out. It sometimes deals, like, 500, 600 damage. It gets really annoying when it's tossed out, like, every, 4 seconds.
And this is why we see Scoop, again, like, time and time with this new meta, you know, with this high survivability, high CC, high spam. I mean, that's just what it feels like. Scoop almost fits into almost any team at this point. And
well, Snare always works. And everybody likes to have a nice big backbone. That's what Scoop does.
Yeah.
He provides backbone.
Backbone of the team.
Yeah. So there you have it. First game in this best of 3 going for APE in this APE versus Boom matchup. I'm excited to see what happens in the next one.
Yeah, I mean, we could absolutely go bananas in the second game, and we could have a 2-0, or at the same time, we could actually go into a 1-1 because semis, these guys, you know, they're really close.
Yeah,
I would not be surprised to see a
if
game
Boom
3.
stops monkeying around, we might be able to get that
Exactly
game
right.
3.
Exactly right, sir. So we'll find out. We're going to set up game number 2 here of the semis, and when we return, we'll see. Will it be a 2-0? Will it be a 1-1 and prolong our tournament a little bit? I don't know, but me and the 8-man here, we will return. That is for sure.
Wolfman, and now I'm anxious.